Let me show you my little bit of the garden, which is a recommendation from Peter Nixon, our friend, who Carol knows. And it's called Golden Candle. And I don't know, it's just a kind of little bit of a shrub. But in the garden, it stands out because it's such a blast of color. And okay, I'll get back to you on that. Exactly. He should be here. Yeah. So take a lying down position on your cushions. And we've got just a few minutes, and I'll lead you through a visualization. So in your reclining position, your head's a little bit higher than your chest, chin down slightly, so that the back of your neck feels nicely lengthened. Up to you about whether you have your feet on the floor just a little bit apart near to your buttocks or your legs straight out. But in any case, relax your legs and soften the muscles around the pelvis. And a really good way to start is to come to your breathing. And you might just rest your hands onto your ribs. So if you bend your elbows, rest your hands onto your lower rib cage. And as we know, that's the area of the diaphragm. And then very soon you start to feel the breath there. And as you sensitize yourself more to the breath in that diaphragmatic area, feel that every exhalation is helping you settle through your back body. And that you're allowing the breath to be rhythmical, stress-free. And you might also consider lengthening the breath, and especially on the exhalations. So a long exhalation helps you relax the abdomen, especially the upper abdomen where the diaphragm connects with that area. We'll go one more minute or so like this with the exhalation lengthening. And often what happens is that the inhalation will lengthen alongside it. And the theme of today's lesson really is about the feet and the upper part of your back and that shoulder blade area. And we'll see if we can marry those two together so that they seem like they're nice and smoothly segued. So if you've been lying now on props, then take all those props away to the side. I neglected to say that we have some people in the room, and Ken and Sal, who we haven't seen for a little while, Daniel, and my next door neighbor, Sue. So from that lying down position, and in consideration of working with your feet, bend both feet on the floor behind your buttocks, bend your right knee into your chest, and then grab hold of your right leg behind your, on your hamstrings, just behind your knee, a little above your knee, and then extend that leg up towards the ceiling. We're not going to a hamstring stretches yet because we're focusing on your feet. So have a look at rotating in a circle, that right foot. Keep your shoulders relaxed and just observe the movement, the lovely potential for movement when you circle your right foot, toes, foot bones, and ankle. And then go the other way. We always, as yoga instructors, say circles, but sometimes these are not quite perfect circles, and it doesn't matter. All right, and then stop that motion, and just your foot is still at the moment. And then we'll work through the possible stretches of your ankle. Point your toes up towards the ceiling and extend the front of the foot up. And then point your toes down towards the floor and stretch your heel up. Toes up, toes down. And we're exploring the movement that is reflected in the lower leg. You might notice some ligaments and tendons that are working in this movement. And we're just creating mobility in that foot and ankle. Good. And let's pause again. And you're still holding at the back of the leg with the leg up. And then turn your right foot to the right, so the sole of your foot faces more towards the right than towards the ceiling. And then turn through to the other side where your right foot is facing towards the right. And then go through those two movements, which are a kind of, I describe it as a rolling movement for your ankle. But if you wanted to talk about them anatomically, it would be inverting your foot and everting your foot. One of those movements is easier, and one is a little bit trickier to do. And you can tell which one it is. Okay, and then just bend your right knee down towards your chest, a little bit to the right of your right ribs, and then keep that right shin bone perpendicular to the floor. Now with a loose hold at the back of your leg, extend your leg up towards the ceiling, stretch behind your right knee and your hamstrings, and then lower your right knee towards your chest. Let's go back between those two helpful movements for your knee. Straight leg up, stretch behind your knee. Knee to chest, and alternating, releasing hamstrings and stretching them. Okay, good. And then let's pause there, legs straight up, and then replace your right foot onto the floor next to its mate. Just do a little bit of a hip wiggle, just a hip wiggle and jiggle on the floor so that you're even on the back of the pelvis again, not tilted. And then bend your left knee in, hold at the back of the thigh, just near to the knee, and then straighten that leg a little bit so that you can keep eyesight on that left foot as you circle it. This is my clicking ankle. I don't know if that translates onto the video, but Even though it's a little bit noisy, this is a really good movement for my mobility in what used to be a badly sprained ankle. Could go the other way. Okay, and then pause. It's good to pause like that because then you can stop and feel, oh, there's a whole lot of circulation in my ankle. I noticed that wasn't there before. And then we're alternately stretching the front of your ankle, toes up, toes down, heel up. Point your toes up, point your toes down. Good, keep going like that. So it feels like a really good movement and maybe even a pleasurable movement. Working all those toes and foot bones and ankle. Okay, give it a rest and then see if that's there for you, that you feel more circulation there. And then let's do that last movement. Turn your right foot in so that it's pointing towards, sorry, we're on your left foot, aren't we? Left foot pointing to the right, and then left foot turning and facing towards the left side. Good. You can add another element here, which is to keep your lower leg from moving about, and especially avoid twisting your knee. So it's mainly in the foot and the ankle, as much as you can. Okay, good. And then lastly, and leaving the foot just to relax again, we're going to bend the left knee down towards the left side of your ribs, and then push up that leg towards the ceiling. Knee towards the ribs, foot towards the ceiling. I didn't say this on the other side, but sometimes it's nice to work with resistance as though you're pushing up against a heavy sandbag on the sole of your foot when you straighten. It just mobilizes a whole lot more of the leg and the hip muscles. All right, and then let's leave that there, and left foot down onto the floor. Do your little bum wiggle, and you're even on the back of your pelvis. Good. And then let's be considerate of the lower back and the sacrum. Lift your feet off the floor, bring your knees towards your chest, and circle your knees. So feet and knees together, and you're just rolling about on the back of your pelvis. Those thigh bones go right into their housing, into the acetabulum joint, so you're giving the joints a little bit of lubrication there. Go the other way if you haven't done that. All right, and ready to pause when you're back to middle, and then 2 feet on the floor and arms by your side. All right, let's do a little bit more with your toes, your feet. So where your heels are, have them quite close to your buttocks. You can't really bring them in all the way, but close enough is good enough. Then lift your heels off the floor. And at this point, you can probably slide in a little bit closer, heels to buttocks. You're still on point on the backs of your toes, your heels are up. And now we're going to take this into a bridge where you're weight bearing onto the forefoot and the toes. On an inhalation, lift your hips up. Keep your weight towards the big toe side of the foot. On an exhalation, come back to base, resting. Keep your heels up throughout. Out. Inhale, hips up. Exhale, tucking under and lowering down. Go like that for a few more rounds. And when you reach the apex, you know how high you can reach your hips, turn your arms out right at the top of your arms where your shoulders are. You might be able to come up a little bit or not. One more time. Hips nice and high. Working with the breath, and exhale back to ground. And touching down, move your feet out just a little distance and bring your heels down to the ground too. Stretch your legs out along your mat. Bring your legs entirely together, your feet and your legs, as close in as you can get them. And then make sure that you have room behind you so you can do an overhead arm stretch. Just test that out. Then starting from the startup position, arms by the side of your body, draw your toes back towards your knees and push out through your heels. Start to bring your arms overhead for one of those stretches and point your toes away from you. Working with your breath, it's an exhalation, arms back to your side, toes towards your knees. Inhalation, full breath, arms overhead, toes point away. Work with your own breath cycles. So I know some of you have longer breaths. So take your time with this so that you're not stressing or grabbing at the next breath. And what you might notice along the way through this movement, which is really lovely for your upper back and your shoulders, is that there's a little pelvic tilt as well. I noticed that. So arms overhead, you're tucking the sitting bones down. Arms by your side, tucking your sitting bones away from you. We call this anterior tilt, posterior tilt. Very nice for your lower back. One more. Make sure that you're breathing freely. So not gushing the breath or grabbing at it. Good. And we're complete there. And your hands by your side. Bring your feet in closer to your buttocks again, feet on the floor. Separate your knees and your feet hip width distance. And then move your arms out to the side so you've got space on either side. And merely drop your knees to the right. Look to the left. Knees up to center. Look to the right. Drop your knees to the left. Make that a nice, some people call this the windscreen wiper movement. A nice swishing from side to side. As you go along, you might come down a little closer to the floor. Or, as I keep saying, not. It's not your goal. All right, the last time you bring the next time that you bring your knees to the right side, just stay there. Extend your left arm overhead onto the floor so your left arm is alongside your left ear. Let's take this into the upper back now and lift your left buttock a little bit more off the floor and lift your left shoulder blade towards the front of your chest. You might start to feel a big stretch along the left side of your body. Switch it over. Left arm comes down away from the body. Knees to the left. And right arm extended overhead. And we're just doing a little bit of press that right foot, lift that right buttock, lift that right shoulder blade. Open up the right side of your ribs. Good. Go one more time each side. And you might get a little more out of this As your knees are to the right, press your left foot into the floor and then lift that left buttock just that little bit more. Good. Last side. Good. And at every point, checking your breathing so that you're never holding it. And press your right foot down, lift your right buttock. Good work. All right, and then let your knees fall over to the right side. Fold your arms in towards you and roll to the right and come on to all fours, kneeling, hands and knees. And the classic way of doing this is to lift the spine and drop the spine. So starting from that spine up position, bring your chin towards your chest, and then lift your chest and look outwards, and lead with your breastplate. On an exhalation, chin towards your chest, spine lifts up. Inhale, lead with your heart and look out towards the horizon. Good. Another time, chest, shoulder blades spread, and then looking out on that inhalation, shoulder blades come in. Good. It's a very simple movement to take you through the spinal movement. And then let's come down onto elbows. Relax your shoulders. Let your shoulders drop out. All right, and then lifting your elbows back onto all fours. Keep your weight onto your left knee and extend your right leg behind you. Tuck the toes of your right foot under. So your right foot's still on the floor, you haven't lifted it. And you're extending out through the right heel to give the back of the leg a good stretch. And a toe stretch. Good. Let's go the other way and switch. Right knee is your supporting knee, left leg behind you. Good. Tuck your toes under. How much can you tuck under? Can you tuck the little toe under too so we don't neglect it? And extend the left leg strongly. Good. And then left knee onto the floor. Come down onto your elbows. Take a wrist and shoulder break. And then back onto all fours. We're still working with the toes and your right foot. And extend that right leg behind you. Have the top of your foot onto the floor. And then pressing onto your toes, the front of your toes, your toenails, feel like you're dragging your right leg towards you. You're shortening on the right side, your right leg towards your right hip. Beautiful. Swap it over, kneeling on your right knee. Extend your left leg, top of your foot's on the floor, toenails, little toe as well, and pulling that leg as strongly as you can towards you. You have to use your core muscles here. All right, lovely. And then kneeling on both knees once more, come down onto your elbows. And then allowing the buttocks to come back towards your heels. Bring your chin in and be in this nice, relaxed child's pose. But not for long. We're going to move into downward facing dog pose. For one more foot movement here that helps you loosen up your feet. And it's one that's very familiar to you. Pedaling your feet. One knee bends, then that leg straightens and the other knee bends. Go back and forth between those two movements. This is where often you can get your heel a little bit closer to the floor.
than if you do this as a static pose. All right, and then come to a standstill. Take a step forward and pause. You're still head down. Take another step forward. Maybe you're up on your fingertips or you can hold your legs. And then bend your knees over your feet. Keep your arms loose by your side and inhale and come all the way up to standing. Good. All right, something I've gone over in other classes recently is how you can work your feet. So let's see. Grab a chair, have a chair beside you. Doesn't have to be a yoga chair, it can just be a dining chair that has a flat seat. Then balance on your left foot and lift your right knee up towards your chest. Grab your ankle. Good. And do that rotation so you're looking at the sole of your foot. So see if you can rotate your foot so that it's inverted. Maybe you haven't seen the sole of your foot in a long time. Good. So when we're going to do our standing poses, we want to contract the inner arch of the foot as though the big toe is coming towards the heel. I don't know if that shows on the camera, like that. If you're flat-footed, then that arch drops. But if you pull up on the inside of your foot, I don't know how to describe it. It's like you're sucking up the arch of your foot. Okay, try that on the other side. Let's see if the other side works in that inverted position. Good, and you're shortening the distance between your big toe and your heel instead of being flat-footed on the inner arch of your foot. Well, how do you do that? The ligament at the front of your ankle draws up towards your knee too. Okay, good. I don't know, maybe I'm being too esoteric, but that's how I do it. And then shake out your feet. Just shake out the effort that you put in there. Good. And then come to the center of your mat, so back from the chair, and stand with your feet just a little bit apart. When I learned yoga initially, I always was trained to keep my feet and my heels together. No one said that when you get older that you might develop bunions, and there's no way that you can get your big toes together. So if that's true for you, it's good to have your feet a little bit separated. And also it gives you more stability. So feel that for yourself. You're standing on your footprint with stable feet. Then see how you go to lift the inner arches of your feet. Maybe the inside of your ankles lift up, and the inside of your knees, and your adductors on the inside of your thighs. But avoid tensing your buttocks. So you want to keep that kind of buttock tailbone area soft. All right, and then last of all, what do we do with our arms? Interlock your hands in front of you, and then stretch your arms straight. Bring your elbows close in, duck your chin towards your chest, and widen your back. We're going for a broad back by widening your shoulder blades, your chin down a little bit. Now go in reverse and bring your hands behind you and throw your shoulders back and bring the tips of your shoulders back. Good. Let's alternate again, and hands interlock. Good. Feel that mobility in your upper part of your back, the capability of your shoulder blades. And then behind you, and squeezing your shoulder blades in and forward towards your lungs. You can tilt your chin up and then lift your breastplate.
Good. And then let that go. Just soften behind your knees. So we've worked on Tadasana here. Considerate of your arches of your feet again. Inner arches, outer arches. All right, and then let's take that into a standing pose. So stepping out about a meter's distance and turning your feet to the right. And line your right heel up with the left heel. Good. Let's make a good beginning where your trunk is right in the middle, the upper part of your chest, the sternum, the navel, the perineum, all in one line. And then bring your hands onto your hips and do a little tilt to the right side. Drop your right arm beneath your right shoulder and extend the left arm up towards the ceiling. Triangle pose. Notice if you've flattened your arches and lift up. Weight on your big toe and your inner heel. Draw up the inner arch of your foot. Beautiful. Inhale and come up. Let's switch the feet to the other side. Good. And then sweep your arms out. Good. With your arms extended and parallel to the floor, stretch the little finger side of your hand a little bit. It's always easier to extend the thumbs than it is the little finger. And then extend out to the left side, left hand down, right arm up. Nicely done. And then feel that you're able to draw up from your bottom arm, from the wrist to the shoulder, and the top arm extending towards the ceiling from the back of your armpit. Good. Make your feet strong, your ankles firm, and inhale and come up. And lower your arms to your side and turn your feet the other way. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little more instruction on the back of your chest, the shoulder blades. Sweep your arms out wide, then be in the pose. Right hand down, left arm up. There's a little rotation through your spine that's possible here. So bring the bottom tip of your right shoulder blade forward and towards the spine. Move the bottom tip of your left shoulder blade away from the spine. And then for your neck comfort, move the inner shoulder blades away from your neck. Come on up. Good work. Feet the other way. And let's go left. You know the pathway. Left hand down, right arm up. And then let's see if we can create that little bit of rotation. So the bottom tip of the left shoulder blade is coming in and towards the spine. And the bottom tip of the right shoulder blade away from the spine. It's going to feel like you're lifting up a little bit. And for your neck safety and comfort, then drawing the inner shoulder blades away from your neck. Inhale and come up. And good work. And then happily stepping into center. And because we have the comfort of a chair to work with, turn the chair so that you've got the seat of the chair facing you. And then come into a modified dog pose stretch. Hold the seat of the chair at the front and step back. How far should you step back? Far enough so that you feel like you're getting a good leg stretch. Ah, beautiful. Then take a small step in a little bit closer to the chair. You can still get a back stretch that way. And even better, if you bend your knees over your ankles or your forefoot, and then hike your buttock bones up towards the ceiling. Feel strong in your heels. Draw your navel back. And then finally, you can get the best value out of this if you extend from the outside of your armpits to your elbows. That's so good. And then take a little walk in and very quietly, gently come up to standing. All right. Let's do, because we can, another standing pose. And face yourself towards the short end of your mat. Step right foot forward, left foot back. Right foot forward, left foot back. Good. And then you can use your two hands on your hips to revolve the hips and square them, as we do. But even better if you come forward from the left side of your rib cage, or even your left shoulder blade. So now your chest is dead set facing the short end of your mat. And then bend your right leg. Good. And facing your right knee, just see if you can give it a little bit of a wobble side to side. I don't know why, but people are really good at this movement, wobbling. And then just bring your hand on the inside of your right thigh, your right hand on the inside of your right thigh, and press against it, and no more wobble. So feel your leg muscles switch on around the thigh bone and also the outside of your hips. And then from here, extend up your arms. You could even, without straightening up too much, just lean a little bit into your back leg. And then lift the arch of that left foot. Good. And then lowering your arms, straight leg. Spin right around, or just turn around if you like. And facing towards your left foot. Right foot, left foot forward, right foot back. Good. Hip adjustment. Chest adjustment from your right shoulder blade, and then bend that left leg. Good. Might as well do the wobble, side to side. The thigh muscles loose on the bone, and then rest your left hand on the inside of your thigh and press against it. Feel your foot, your ankle, and your leg muscles engage, and then bring your arms up. Good. And then we're leaning back into that back leg. Lift the arch of your right foot. Good. Lowering your arms, straight left leg. Let's go one more run through to the original side. Okay. And hips facing forward. The two sides of your rib cage parallel. Bend that right leg. And when you raise your arms this time,
You see if you can feel into the inside of your shoulders or the inner shoulder blades and draw them downwards. And your shoulders will come down a little bit. And then get your lift through your arms, through the outside of your arms and the outside of your shoulders. Reach for the ceiling. Maybe tilt your chin up. Good. And then we're ready to come out. Straight leg, arms down, turn the other way. Good. Start with your left leg bent. Strong muscles, so there's no wavering through the thigh muscles or the left foot. And when your arms are up, we're working with this adjustment. Shoulder blades on the inside. Depress the shoulders. And then the back of the arm stretching up. So the arm stretches from the outside of your shoulder blade. Good. Leaning back that little bit into your right leg. Straighten behind your knee and feel that right buttock. Good. And then arms come down. And you could just step up to your chair to do that modified dog pose stretch. Let's take the second version of that, where you bend your knees just a little, and then move the buttocks back. Knees are still bent, and buttock bones lifting up towards the ceiling. You're going to get a really nice view of your feet. So waking up the inner arches, press the big toe, the inner heel, and lift the inner arch of your both feet, and possibly the outer arch too. Okay, good. Take a walk in. And come up to standing. Good. So we're going to do a little bit of a twisty standing pose. And it's the twisting version of Trikonasana. So facing your chair, step your right foot forward, not quite as far as the chair legs, but close to the chair. Right foot forward and left foot back. Bring your right hand behind you and place your hand onto your right hip and bring your elbow back. Then turn towards your right leg and place your left hand onto the seat of the chair. So your left hand lines up with your right foot and your right ankle. Your left hand is across to the right side. You've already done a partial rotation. Now lift your chest high and then look to the right side and turn. We're not in a hurry to extend up that arm, that right arm, until the right elbow comes back, the right shoulder comes back. Keep lifting the left ribs away from the chair. And then, if you like, you can try on extending that arm up or fold it back in if it's not a comfortable movement for your shoulder. All right. And then turning your head to look down at the left hand to your right hip, bend your right knee, inhale and come up, and change left foot forward. Good. Pause. I could have been saying this a lot more, and it's a very useful direction. Just make sure that you feel like you're standing on your own 2 feet. I know that sounds funny, but sometimes we're a little bit ungrounded. So left foot strong, right foot strong, and then we'll move from there. And then left shoulder comes back a little bit, left elbow comes back. Reach your right hand forward and to
Rest your right hand onto the chair on the left side of the chair. Looking at your right hand, it lines up with your left leg. Then turn and look to the left side. Bring that left shoulder back a little bit more, that left elbow back, and then left arm up towards the ceiling if you're going to that variation, or keep your hand onto your hip. Good. Now strengthen your footprint. Feel your ankles firm. Bend that left knee as you look towards the chair again. Inhale and come up. Swap it over, right foot forward, left foot back. Good. One more round so I can give you access to a little bit more movement through your upper back, hopefully. Right hand onto your hip, left hand onto the chair. Pause and consolidate. Lift up the left side of your chest so it feels like your chest is lighter, more easy to move. Then move your left shoulder blade in towards your spine and towards the front of your chest. If you're ready to go the next mile distance, extend up your right arm and move the right shoulder blade away from the center spine. Good. And then looking down again, folding the right hand to your hip, bend your right knee, come on up, swap it over. All right. And then the pathway that takes you here is to start your rotation as you're standing, turning towards the left side. Right hand balances onto the chair. Good. And as you're ready, feel your footprint, strengthen your ankles, and if you wish to take the left arm up, should feel comfortable in the shoulder movement. And then from there, working with the back of your body, move your right shoulder blade towards your spine. Move the left shoulder blade away from the spine. Good. And then first we bring the left hand down, look down towards the chair, flex the front knee, step in. And then shake out your legs. Good. And then from standing, shake out your feet. And then shake out your wrists and your shoulders. What else can we shake out? Your head. Okay. Nicely done. All right, let's have one last standing pose so that we can continue the theme, working feet, working upper part of the back. Take a block. And then on your mat facing the long end, step out wide. And just place the block in front of you at a distance, an arm's length distance. Good. And then let's play with rolling your feet. So you did this when you were reclining. So rolling in, rolling out. Inverting, everting. Inverting, flattening the arches. Everting, flattening the outer arches. And then pause there. Lift your right foot and turn on the heel and turn your right foot in a little bit more. Balance on your left heel and turn your left foot in a little bit more. Good. Now have a look at your feet so you can actually see if they're responding, and lift the inner arches of your feet. Lift the outer arches of your feet. Does that translate into your leg muscles feeling stronger? That would be a good result. All right, and then come to a halfway bend. and just far enough so that you can rest your hands onto the block. And if it happens that you're not reaching the block, then have your hands onto your legs. And not going anywhere else just yet. Oh, lift your chest and bring it forward at the same time as you squeeze your shoulder blades into the center of your spine. You could think of this as concaving your back, moving the shoulder blades in towards the front chest. Good. Feel your footing again. Inner arches, outer arches. Inner knees, outer knees. Lift the pelvic floor as well. Good. Let's do a little rotation to the right side. Bring your left hand onto the top of the block. Bring your right hand onto your hip. Turn a little to the right side. Look to the right side. Make sure that's comfortable for your neck. And what might give you better ease of movement is to move the inner shoulder blades towards your waist. Like the previous pose, take your elbow back, take your shoulder back. Good. Keep the inner arch of your left foot from collapsing. And then look down and turn the other way. And support yourself onto your right hand. Bring your left hand onto your left hip. Turn. And keep turning. And from your back body, your right shoulder blade is moving towards the front of your chest. Good. We can do the arm stretch this time. Back to center. Turn the opposite way. If this feels like an easeful movement to extend up the arm, then do so. Otherwise, keep working on the shoulder coming back. That's a beautiful movement by itself. Inner arch of your left foot lifting. Good. And then last time, rotating. And from the shoulder blades, and turning. And then back to center, 2 hands onto the block, and then your very clever footwork, heel in, toe in, heel, toe in, till your feet are almost together. Bend your knees over your ankles, keep your arms loose by your side, and come all the way up. Okay, very good work. And then let's have you lie on your back. Keep your block next to you. Or keep hold of your block, I should say. And once you're reclining, then bring your feet in close to you on the floor like you did for the bridge pose. And place the block between your knees. Good. Press against the block with the inner thighs or the inner knees. And only do that so far. Notice how your buttocks want to lift up a little bit when you press with that, the pressure. And your buttock bones tilt up towards the backs of your knees. Good. Use that tilt to start you to lift up. And the buttocks start to lift up. You roll the lower back, the mid back, and moving towards your shoulder blades. Release any tension around your tailbone, and then interlock your hands underneath you. So your buttocks clear your hands, lifting the thigh bones up. And then rock shoulder to shoulder and bring your elbows and your arms closer together. Feel that now. Feel how much
you've been able to lift up because your upper back is supporting you. And then bring your chin towards your chest. Lengthen the back of your neck. And we're ready to come down now, so slipping your hands apart, slowly coming down a little bit at a time until your buttocks are ready to touch down and rest completely. Rest your hands over your navel, over your belly, and allow the abdomen to release down towards the floor. Take that block out and place it on the flat end underneath your buttocks. And I have a belt near to me because I like to say I planned ahead, but it just happens to be there. So grab your belt wherever it is. So far, the shape of the pose, your buttocks are supported on the flat block and your feet are on the floor. Bend one knee in towards you, other knee in towards you. Bring your thighs close to your chest and then loop the belt around your feet. Both sides of the straps are loose, so you can hold one hand each side and then have the belt on the ball of your foot. You could bring it into the arches, but keep it towards the forefoot so that you can push up against the resistance of the belt. Make sure this isn't pulling on your back. And if your legs aren't straight up and they're bent, keep your knees over your hips and just move your heels a little bit away from you. Nevertheless, for everybody, pushing into the balls of the feet until once more the leg muscles are working, the outer hips, the inner thighs. Good. So keep that work through the feet, pushing out. I can see almost all of the ligaments in my front foot as I push against the belt. So my feet are working really hard. But keep your hands soft. All right. And then pop the belt off. Draw your knees down towards your chest. Rest your hands onto the front of your knees. And let your lower legs just dangle. Heels are towards the buttocks, and thighs are towards your ribs. Take a couple of deeper breaths. Feel where your weight rests on your shoulder blades now, and allow them to be wide. And we have time for one more rotation in the reclining position. So feet to the floor. Take the block away. Extend the right leg along the mat. Straight right leg. Bend your left knee towards your chest, so your left foot's off the floor, and the left knee is towards your chest. Extend the right arm out to the side. Bring the flat of your right hand against the outside of your left knee, and then roll that right leg out and bring the left leg across your body towards the right side. Keep your left shoulder blade and your left arm firmly onto the floor and look left. Good. Just come back to center. Let's work the left leg a little bit more. And once more, left leg rotating to the right side. You want that right leg to turn out completely. And then third time, leg comes into center, and then over to the right. Look left. Okay, good. Let's finish there. Leg back in the middle, and left foot to the floor. Straighten the left leg out along the floor. Bend your right knee in. Left hand, right knee. Right arm out a little ways from the body. And then we're going to bring that leg across the body to the left. And the left leg rolls out completely. Come back to center. Stay with that right leg. Right knee to the left. Left leg turning out. Back to center. You might be getting a little bit more rotation as you go along. Just watch that, or not. And then back to center, and 2 feet on the ground. Good. So you might have shifted in such a way that you're not quite lying straight. So your head and your shoulders and your hips all in one line. Then with your feet on the floor and a little distance from your buttocks, let your knees rest against one against each other, and your feet slightly apart. Your arms drop to the side. And since your legs are passive here, feel the inside of your thighs relax. There's no work for them to do at the moment. You might have the experience that the inner thighs, when they're relaxed, are kind of empty. In just another few moments, we're going to move into the yoga relaxation. So give yourself time to get the props that you need so that you can be comfortable for the next few minutes. I always suggest a blanket to support the back of your head and your neck, and even a bolster underneath your knees. So get ready, get yourself ready. This is practice in self-care. And as you've set yourself up, you're giving yourself time to settle. There's a feedback loop here as you settle your body and aim for the most comfort that you can create. Then that will help you start to settle your mind. Let's come back to the early adjustment that you made when you were reclining at the beginning of the session with your hands onto your ribs. So elbows bend, your hands rest lightly on your lower ribs. And ready to feel that area soften. When the lower ribs and the diaphragm soften, it feels that they begin to integrate with the lower part of your body as well. The derivation of diaphragm
is a separation or a split. And in a way, that's the way that that breathing muscle functions. But we want to resolve that split so that the diaphragm feels like it's relating to the upper chest and as well the abdominal pelvic region. So a general softening back through the upper abdomen, the middle abdomen, and the lower abdomen. Feel your chest muscles relax. And that where you're lying on the upper part of your back, that you're able to release your shoulder blades. We want them to present a flat surface. No pointy edges. That shoulder blade area supports the back of the heart and the back of the lungs. Letting go on that mental level of any expectations here, even the expectation that you have to relax in a certain way. Just being with yourself in a relaxed and comfortable lying down position. And now you're free to observe your breath. After you've been quiet like this, then the breath naturally resolves itself back to being gentle and quiet. And sometimes it's trickier to watch it. It's become more subtle. See if you can pick up the thread of the inhalation and follow it to the end. And similarly, the exhalation, watching to see where it concludes. Let your eyes be very relaxed and passive. You might sense them as wide, soft, unfocused, unmoving. So even when you inhale, the eyes can still be downcast. If thoughts arise, you don't have to think about them as an intrusion. They're just something that occurs. And to help with a focus, stay with your breath. Let the breath take center stage. we're just at the end of the timing for this relaxation, but it doesn't mean that you have to do anything as yet. Let yourself come back fully into your body, the whole of your body. And when you're ready to move, making some small movements first. And an interim movement could be just rolling onto your side and giving yourself a nice hug there on your side. And very slowly bringing yourself upright. And then as we finish, we bring our hands together, joining hands in front of the chest. With the elbows lifted a little bit, you can feel your back again, I think, those shoulder blades. So joining hands, but also, more importantly, I think joining hearts. So with the people on the Zoom and the people in the room, and just people generally, send out your goodwill. Namaste. Thank you.